So it turns out that Alex O'Connor, aka CosmicSkeptic, is no longer vegan. He announced this in a post 8 days ago on his community page. There's a lot to say. First of all, I want to detail my past, I guess, with CosmicSkeptic. I've always admired him. He has influenced me on in a lot of ways, on a lot of different issues and stances and stuff, especially atheism. Like, I started watching him when I was still Mormon, when I was still Christian, and he definitely changed my mind on that by using actual rational arguments. And I always saw him as this very intellectually honest person who would always try to be the best person that they could be. But I guess that has changed somehow. So in this community post, it's very vague actually. He talks about not being vegan anymore for health reasons, even though he has himself propagated the fact like that basically all nutritional organizations and dietetics associations across the world, the World Health Organization, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the NHS, like literally anything you can think of has classified the vegan diet, the plant-based diet, as an appropriate, healthful, nutritionally adequate diet if done right, right? Because you need to plan your diet out so you get all the nutrients that you need. But basically, all the nutrients that a human needs can be found in plants, and B12 can be supplemented or can be found in fortified products. But Alex has stated that he is going back to eating seafood, so fish, I suppose. Could be other things, and he said not exclusively seafood, but also other animal products. So I'm assuming that could be eggs or dairy or even other kinds of meat. I think if he were actually being intellectually honest here, he would be honest about everything right off the bat, right? Because the thing is, what I imagine that Alex has to be confident about his position, right? Coming out with this, he said that he didn't want to come out publicly as non-vegan anymore if he wasn't confident of his position. Like, he's thought about this for months at least. But I don't understand how he could have changed his mind on that because the evidence has not changed. The evidence pretty much across the board says that vegan diets can be healthy if done right. Like, I think the only conclusion I can draw from this is that he is just not doing it right. He's just not eating well. Like, and that's not veganism's fault. It's just that he doesn't know how to eat. Like, that's the only conclusion I can draw from this post because he doesn't seem to know what he's talking about when it comes to nutrition, and it's never been his expertise. I don't blame him, but he has the resources to learn about this, and it seemed like he was convinced of the healthfulness of vegan diets already because he cited all the evidence for it.
We all know that the science is beginning to show that not only is a vegan diet as healthy or as practicable as a non-vegan diet, but in many ways it benefits us too. Cancer Research UK recently published that it doesn't matter how much red meat you're eating, it will always be beneficial to eat less to reduce your risk of cancer. But here's the thing, right? And I mention these because they're important, but even if there were no environmental benefit to veganism, even if there were no health benefits, so long as it is healthy, which I assure you it is, there is already a moral imperative to go vegan.
Like, this is not just a loose study. These are like meta-analyses. These are systematic reviews. The highest kind of pieces of evidence and like the hierarchy of scientific evidence. I just don't understand. Like, I need more information. Like, this is by itself, it's not good enough. And that's why it's so disappointing because Alex has set a bar for himself. He has set a bar for himself, especially with given all the speeches that he's given, all the videos that he's made, all the people that he's converted to veganism, all the good that he's done, and it's being erased. Recently, I rewatched the speech that Alex gave in Israel at like an atheist convention or something on why you should go vegan. And it was a very impactful speech. He made a really persuasive line of arguments for veganism, and he said, like, I will no longer pay for like animals to be murdered for my convenience, for my diet. I will no longer be a part of this. I will not be responsible for this. We can do better.
I will never again allow my culinary convenience to balance upon the corpses of innocent members of our moral community whose eyes I never had to look into, but saw more pain than I will ever even be capable of imagining so that I could eat a pizza topping.
You can do better. Like, it's not a hard thing to do, especially not in Western countries, like the UK, in Alex's case, the Netherlands in my case. Like, it's really not difficult to be vegan. I mean, of course, you need to know how to do it. You need to know, like, how to cook. I guess that's just basic, but you can learn that. You don't need to know everything right away, but it's a process. You can learn. It's okay. But Alex has had 3 years at this point, and something has changed. Like, I don't understand what happened. I don't understand what happened. Another thing he said is, in his statement, is that he's no longer convinced of the efficacy or the appropriateness of individual focused boycotts. Okay. The thing is that we're not only advocating for individual boycotts. Veganism advocating for, systematic change. We're voting for different things. Like, of course, change is going to be slow, but that doesn't mean like anything we do is futile. Like, you can't say that about any other social issue. Of course, sometimes it seems futile to you, and I have felt that before. Like, I'm just one person. Like, what difference can I make? But the thing is, if everyone thinks that, no thing is ever going to change. You know? We have to make individual choices to make the world better. Like, we have to do that for the better of the world. Like, I don't think appealing to futility really works in this case, or basically any case. Like, you could say the same thing about fast fashion. I would also agree that it seems futile to boycott these companies, but we kind of have to, as much as possible, of course, But when it comes to animal products, there's no way to make animal products, like, ethically justified, because their production requires murder. And I say murder because it is murder, because it's taking someone's life unnecessarily and without their consent, against their own interests and benefits. It is wrong in itself. And that's why I don't understand that Alex says he's still against factory farming, and he wants to effort with us against factory farming. I understand factory farming is wrong. Of course, it's like the worst case scenario for animals today. The suffering in the industry in factory farming is horrible, and I acknowledge that. But veganism is a movement for animal rights. Alex would like to frame it as a movement to minimize animal suffering. And of course, in practice, we're first going to minimize it before we abolish it. Like, I get that. But the end goal is still the abolition of the exploitation of animals systematically. So I don't understand why he's talking about factory farming. Like, to me, it seems like Michaela Peterson has kind of infected him with that idea that, there can be a humane way to kill an animal when there is not. I think mostly is that Alex is just uneducated on plant-based nutrition. In the debate with Michaela Peterson, he conceded that, like, if meat were required for a human healthy diet, that it would be okay not to be vegan. But the thing is that is not the case, and that has been proven, and he should know that, and he has spoken about that. He knows that. He's forgotten about it, or he doesn't care, or he's not convinced of it anymore, or it seems awfully convenient. Like, I don't know what came first. Like, his questioning of, the ethics of animal agriculture, or of his struggles with maintaining a healthy plant-based diet. Like, those seem connected in some way. I think it seems like motivated reasoning to me, and I don't want to say that. I don't want to call him a dishonest person, because I don't believe he is. I don't know what he's doing right now, and I am very concerned, because he was a huge voice for the movement. He also influenced me in going vegan almost 2 years ago. He makes a lot of difference. Like, he's saying that he's just an individual. He doesn't believe in individual focused boycotts really anymore, but he's not just one person. Like, he made so many people go vegan. He had such a huge impact in the animal rights movement, even though apparently he doesn't believe in animal rights. Actually, let's go on that tangent. So, Alex made a video saying that he doesn't believe animals have rights, just because we can't apply them in every situation, because animals die in the production of crops, right? But the thing is that those deaths are not rights violations, because they're not happening intentionally. It's just the same way that we sometimes run people over with a car. That doesn't mean humans don't have the right to live. That just means accidents happen, and we participate in industries that accidentally lead to death. But we try to avoid that as much as possible, and there are, like, policies in place to try to avoid that, as they should be when it comes to crop deaths. We should avoid that as much as possible. It doesn't count as a rights violation. So it doesn't have impact on the idea like whether animals or humans have the right to life, because I think they both do. I don't think those incidental deaths really make any difference in the fact of whether we have rights or not. I think his idea of minimizing suffering when it comes to like his definition of veganism, I think it just leads to welfareism. Like I think in practice it's good to, think in small steps, I guess, when it comes to encouraging people to go vegan. But in practice, I think the definition of veganism should be a movement for animal rights, not a movement for minimizing animal suffering. There's a difference because technically you could kill an animal without them suffering, but it's still taking their life away from them, and their life matters to them in the same way that our life matters to ours. So we should judge that in the same way. And I don't know what else to tell him. I honestly hope that he comes out with a video soon because it's been 8 days and there's been just radio silence. Like, he knows the response that would be coming to this. Like, he knows his audience, he knows the internet, he knows that this would lead to controversy. He knows better. He can do better. And I don't understand because in his speech in Israel, he said that extraordinary harm requires extraordinary justification.
Again, as our last speaker said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and I think we can all agree that this is accurate, but I can offer another corollary to that point, which is that extraordinary harm and mistreatment requires extraordinary justification. And we don't even have measly evidence, not even a shred of it, even for the most basic mistreatment of animals that we currently partake in.
And I'm still waiting for the extraordinary justification that Alex has to keep paying for this extraordinary harm and this exploitation. And I'm waiting for it. And I want to hear what he has to say, but it's not looking good right now. Guys, it's not looking great. But I have hope, I think maybe there's a chance that he can come back to being vegan. He can stop exploiting animals for his benefit and convenience. I think he knows better than this. I think he can do better than this. He has proven that time and time again. That's why I'm holding him to that standard, because he knows better. Since he knows better, he can do better. Anyway, that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to hear more from CosmicSkeptic about this whole situation.